Awareness expressing itself through physical form. That is what I am doing. And so what I share here is not going to resonate with the majority of humanity, because I'm not speaking from the system of consciousness in which ideas and information and all the intellectual systems are repeated over and over again but just simply packaged differently by individuals. So what I'm doing as I'm deconstructing consciousness as awareness, I am supporting you to step out of this thought, the thought process and the mind, so that you can come to know self as awareness. And when you step out of the thought process and the mind, which are not yours, when you can step out of those constructs and experience self as awareness, you will see the world differently. You will experience the world differently than you are currently experiencing the world that you are living in through the personality aspect of you. The power control force, those that presume to run this world, understand awareness. They know awareness, its qualities, its nature. They understand the capacity of awareness that is you to experience itself through physical form. They don't know all of this. And yet, this information is obscured from you through their system of consciousness. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, why would they keep that information from me? Because that's the nature of the physical world. You have been captured. Your essence as awareness has been captured and you are being used as a fuel source in order to keep this system of consciousness going. So deconstructing consciousness is about supporting you to move outside of this system of consciousness that is transcending the ego consciousness which you have built over your lifetime through this system of consciousness. You have to understand that the designers of this system of consciousness and this earth that you have your worldly experience in have designed this system in such a way that it can manipulate the awareness that is you into believing that everything that you are experiencing in this physical world is real. You are living through someone else's script. You are living through someone else's narrative. And this system of consciousness, the system of language, is used to program you. So you're living in a programmed reality. And you may be asking yourself, well, why? Why have they done this? Why have they built this system of consciousness and captured my awareness? You have to ask yourself these questions because the designers have the same awareness that you have and I have. It's just that they got ahead of themselves and believed that they could take your awareness and my awareness and their awareness and make it into their own system of consciousness. So the system of consciousness simply mirrors your awareness. It's mirroring your awareness. So I want to talk to you about this new movie, Lucy. Again, I've talked about this movie once before, but if you notice the energies that are coming, you're maybe experiencing, I know that this is happening for myself, but all things human are fading away. Do you notice that? And that could transpire into not being interested in listening to the news or participating in your daily life experience the way that you have been. There's not a lot of interest in the participating in life the way that you have been participating in life. It's kind of like it doesn't interest you. Something is pulling you away from this system of consciousness. Do you feel that? Do you have a sense of that? Do you have a sense that you're changing, that something is being altered within you, that's dismantling? So I can really identify with this movie, Lucy. And it's interesting energetically that this movie is coming out right now. The power control force, those that presume to run this world, understand where we are in our path of evolution. And simply by putting out a movie like Lucy at this particular time, they know that energetically, for some of humanity, it will seem like all things human are fading away. It's a phrase that is in the trailer of this new movie that's coming out July the 25th. And I'm sure that date was chosen for a specific reason. But if we go back to some of the sharings that I've been sharing with you, this has been happening for me since March at a very deep level. I mean, I have been transcending the system of consciousness at a very deep level since 2009. But it's a very interesting process now. I can actually feel this lattice matrix on my physicality and how it's dismantling. And I just notice how the program, this lattice work that's on my physicality, tries to manipulate me and seduce me back into this third dimensional consciousness program. How does it do that? Through language, through my own personal story that's attached to this lattice work, this grid work that is affecting this biological vehicle, in which as awareness I experience this physical dimension through the personality, Karas. But you have to understand that because I have transcended ego consciousness and no longer have that mind chatter in my head, the program, this consciousness system, cannot seduce me back into this third dimensional low vibration program. I don't have that mind chatter anymore. I've transcended that in 2009. And I'm at a point where the system can't seduce me back in anymore. And so the power control force, those that presume to run this world, know all these things and know that a portion of humanity is going to be able to transcend. It's a mutation that some of us are going through. Not everyone is going to have this experience at this particular time. The power control force, those that presume to run this world, are trying to circumvent the mutation. That is, those who have the capacity to transcend this lattice work, this program that's embedded on their biological vehicle. I know this stuff is way out there for some people, but as awareness, this is my experience, and so I share my experience with you. And everyone has within them an innate longing to know themselves. They're not necessarily sure what that means, but they're always seeking something. They know that there's something more to what they're experiencing on this physical world plane. And so there are many who are searching for something. They don't know. It's very elusive to most people, this whole idea of what they're searching for. And the power control force, those that presume to run this world, want to make sure that whatever it is that one is searching for remains elusive. This is why they created this occult knowledge. Occult is simply cult knowledge. You live within a cult system. Knowledge based on history. It's all made up. History. His story, someone else's story, someone else's narrative. Occult knowledge, for those that look to occult knowledge, that hidden knowledge, was set up by design. It used to be, back in the day, what we call today, controlled opposition. If you are looking to occult knowledge for information to learn about who and what you are, you will not find it through occult knowledge. It will continue to obscure your essence as awareness from you. It's past knowledge. It's history. It keeps you locked in this time-space continuum. So if you're looking to occult knowledge, the hidden knowledge, it was set up by design in order to manipulate your essence as awareness to forever keep you from the knowing and the truth of who you are as awareness. Remember, the power control force understand awareness, that it can be easily manipulated. Awareness is malleable, it's childlike, it's vulnerable, it's susceptible. Awareness is simply resting in a constant state of paradise. You live in a state of opulence. That is your true nature. You are powerful. You are magnificent. You are ever-flowing, effervescent. You don't need anything when you come to know self as awareness. You just simply rest. You rest in your state of paradise, and even that state of paradise and that sense of opulence are realms within this universe. And so, but they are realms in which we can attain and have a sense of knowing of who and what we are, but there is nothing there. As awareness, you just simply rest in a constant state of paradise. You're just resting. There's no thing. There's nothing for you to do. There's no language. There's no programming through language of you, through the thought process. You see, it is that thought process, that constant chatter in the mind, that keeps you glued to this system, this third-dimensional reality. It's that thought process, that constant chatter, that keeps you in a state of trance, a hypnosis. That is what seduces awareness, the awareness that is you, keeps you enamored with this system of consciousness through this light codes, nature, the master seductress, nature, she, her, the womb of the mother. So when we're deconstructing consciousness, we're deprogramming you out of this trance state. And consciousness has no firewalls. The system of consciousness has no firewalls. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be careful about the information you allow into your awareness through the personality that is you. But you see, awareness has firewalls. Awareness, although it is malleable, once you come to know awareness, you comprehend the firewalls that exist as awareness. And so you don't allow concepts like aliens and star people and all this other nonsense that you hear about in the New Age movement. Dimensions, aliens, star people. I mean, all those are distortions. They're mental distortions caused by separation anxiety. And I know some of you will be a little disappointed in that I'm saying that, but awareness is nothing. There's no thing there. So anything that you are thinking within this universal system, such as dimensions and concepts from occult knowledge, and it's all to obscure the truth of who you are from you. Awareness has firewalls. Awareness is pure in its essence. There's nothing there. There's nothing for you to know, nothing for you to have, nothing for you to see, nothing for you to imagine as awareness. Awareness is beyond any concepts of energy, and yet we use energy within this system of consciousness in order to create. All these ideas about aliens and star people, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You're being manipulated. These are ideas and concepts in order to manipulate you into believing all these things that you are seeing, reptilians. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it blows my mind sometimes when I just hear some people who I at first think are just brilliant. These young people are just so brilliant coming through and sharing their knowledge and wisdom, and I just realize they're still caught in this system of consciousness, just spewing more bullshit. Very intellectual, but they don't know who they are. Because if you knew who you were as awareness, you would know that the system of consciousness is that. It's a con. Fake texts, fake religions, everything. All fakery, designed to manipulate you. But then I can understand why people would search for knowledge and wisdom within this system of consciousness, because it's a system in which you've grown into. And what would you do if you didn't have your story? If you didn't have all this information, all this hidden knowledge to eat up and believe in? So most people fear freedom, that you would be free of the system of consciousness. People fear their freedom. What are you going to fill it up with? If you're not filling it up with information, if you're not filling it up with knowledge. So just see how you're being manipulated. You are to transcend this ego consciousness. This ego consciousness that you exist in and you have as your personality aspect of you is a part of the power control force. You are a part of who they are. It's their system. So you've taken on some of their qualities and characteristics. You are a part of them. The archons, they call them now. And, in a few years, they'll call them something else. But then that's, again, just a way to manipulate you. To understand the concept of deconstructing consciousness as a designated construct, just know that it's intended to function on specific concepts that will greatly aid you in coming to know self as awareness. That's the objective, if there ever was one. You see, as awareness, you are creation itself that is unlimited and eternally unfolding in every moment. You are creation itself. You are what created all of this. And that is what is obscured from you, all by design. You see, the natural inclination and drive in every human being with limited awareness in physical form is to become a creator. But this whole idea of rebirthing is a concept that many are engaging in, this whole transcendence, but it's a rebirthing psychically through the living stream of will and power of your full awareness potential. That is to come to know self as awareness and then psychically create through awareness into this system of consciousness so that you are creating and deconstructing simultaneously. Imagine that. You could do that. You could actually deconstruct consciousness and create an alternate reality that is based on your uniqueness. That's the power you wield. That's the power that is being manipulated from your knowing of the truth of who and what you are. It is a natural course of creative evolution of awareness to capitalize on its creative potential in physicality, allowing each individual who is inclined to do so to access their creative potential. That's why I say this system is a finite system, because awareness can only be captured for a certain period of time in this time-space continuum without its knowing and consent. But that time is up, you see, and that's what the power control force are trying to circumvent, the awareness that is you to come to know itself. And to counter that, they are destructing this system of consciousness. So when you listen to these sharings, I really encourage you to sometimes even go back and listen to some of them over again. Repetition is good. I notice that certain people are not able to sit through even the whole sharing. And a lot of people can't even read what I share. But the reading is important. That helps you to deprogram. If you're finding you can't read the articles that I post, and this article here will be posted in the description, and you cannot sit through what I share here, it's because I'm sharing at a whole different vibration than 3D, third dimensional vibration. And so it causes you to feel uncomfortable, causes you to feel like it's foggy, like there's something you can't hear what I'm saying, and so you'll want to turn me off. But if you listen to enough of this and enough of my sharing, I'm attempting to help you deprogram yourself from this system of consciousness. So what I share here is going to be very different. And so when I saw that the average person only listens to about 15 minutes of what I share, I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, maybe I need to change how I share. And I was like, no, I'm not changing anything. There's a reason why I do things the way that I do. And if I can't hold your attention for 30 or 40 minutes, then you shouldn't be listening to these anyway. And I noticed that a lot of people aren't able to listen anymore. It's like, well, you have to understand, ask yourself, you have to understand. And I ask myself these questions too. I'm shifting in vibration all the time. I'm increasing my frequency. I'm morphing and changing each and every moment. My intention is never to stay homostasis or in a homostasis position. It's forever changing and ever growing as awareness. I'm all-knowing and wise. And so as I go up in vibration, as I keep transcending this physical system, less and less people are going to want to listen to me because I'm not following in the lines of the consensus reality, you see? It's off the charts. But I do know that more and more people will start speaking at the level in which I'm speaking eventually. They have to, because you have to understand that the system is the system of consciousness. It's truly a magical time. If you want to call it that, it's truly a wonderful time to be here. But I'm not going to change anything that I'm doing. I'm just going to continue to share. And you listen to what you can listen to. But if you can't listen to this stuff, well, that's just an indication. That's just a indication for you that the level of sharing here is just too high vibration for you. And that's okay. Come back when you're ready. So when we come to know self as awareness, it requires the human being of you to evolve and mature, the personality, which becomes a conundrum for many, because deep down we don't want to observe ourselves and increase self-knowledge, as a search for self-knowledge is not an original part of our nature. Second, it is painful and often disturbing. However, some are able to overcome this with the presumption that self-knowledge is helpful and sometimes makes self-consciousness easier to bear. However, the ultimate day job is to transcend the egoic consciousness through the vortex of the heart, which acts as a portal or gateway to reclaiming the full awareness of who and what you are. That is the creative potential, which has created all things. That is awareness, which is the ultimate reality. And in your natural state of awareness, you are the ultimate creator with unlimited creative potential, totally been usurped from you, sadly enough. When you come to know, embody, and experience the truth of awareness as your creative potential, you then become a conscious, active creator of your reality, allowing you to create a reality through the creative potential of your awareness, using your biological vehicle as a focal point of your awareness, allowing you to create within this system of consciousness, using the mind, the thought process, and thought through your imagination, the subconscious mind of her. Your reality will then morph and change into that which you desire and want through the use of your imagination and the will and power of awareness. You see, this whole transcendence psychically into awareness, that is the rebirthing, being able to use your awareness, which supersedes this universe, supersedes the solar system and the earth system. Awareness resides outside of this universal system. And so what happens, I know for myself, is that now I see the physical dimension in this universe. I step down as awareness into these systems within consciousness, and I create within this system of consciousness. But I'm in full awareness of the who and what I am as the creative potential. And I use this biological vehicle as a focal point. And so what happens as I become to know self as awareness and experience self as awareness more and more, these psychic abilities, these innate abilities within me, because I am part creature and part creator in physicality anyway. But as I come to know self as awareness, I become the full creator that I am, and I use the biological creature in order to create the world in which I want based on my uniqueness. It's very different. And so I use the mind, the thought process and thought, which are not mine. I use them in all these language systems, the ones that I so choose to use, and I create. But I remember that the mind, the thought process, that are not mine. They are part of the system of consciousness. However, when we come to know self as awareness, the full awareness that we are, we reclaim our full potential and will of awareness to create, whereby allowing us to use the thought process, and the mind and the biological vehicle to create in physical form everything that we desire. So we're no longer creating from a place of fear. We're creating from a place of awareness. And fear does not exist in awareness. Most people who experience themselves through their personality are creating from a place of fear in this system of consciousness. You see, the predicament most humans find themselves in without their knowledge is that they operate in a sea of forgetfulness, governed by a system of consciousness which supports the mission of the soul or psyche, which is really your libido or chi or prana, kundalini or sexual energy in a nutshell. It's this fear that is created through this energy, this chi, this kundalini, that propels people to create their reality through distortions, through their fear. So as awareness, we are already all that we would like to become. That is no thing in a nutshell. However, in physicality, we experience an urge or progression in maturing towards completion which already exists, you see. This is why this system of consciousness keeps humanity locked in what I would call an oral fixation stage of consciousness, where individuals base their preferences and desires in the milieu of objectification of others or materialism, forever masking the infantile needs to return to the mother's womb. Once I got this whole trauma of birth and the womb and the fetal drama, this being the underlying rhythmic pattern that the power control force used to design this system of consciousness and used to design their wars and revolutions and all this materialism that we are fixated on. I was always wondering why. I could never understand why all my life, why men would objectify me. They never really wanted to know who I was. They just liked the way I looked, a very attractive woman. So, it's like I was always objectified and I hated it. And now I understand why. It's because this system of consciousness does that. It is objectified women. And as we'll see, this is one of 3 movies that Scarlett Johansson is in. Lucy, Under the Skin, and she's in the movie Her as well. And it just turns out she's having a baby this year. That's no coincidence. And she is what? The most beautiful woman in the world. Lucy, Under the Skin, Her, this energetic force. So she's representing, through these movies, her, the placental her, the womb of the mother. And she's having a baby this year. All by design. This is not, it's all fabricated, but it's all by design. So she is to be the symbol of her, Sophia, Gaia, Earth, from the perspective of materialism, the materialistic world that we are immersed in. When you can start seeing this stuff at a whole nother level, it's like, how we just allow ourselves to be so manipulated. It's interesting. And even the level in which I am seeing things, it's still very minute in comparison to probably what I could or will potentially know in the future. That's what makes it so exciting when one comes to know self as awareness. It's just over the years I have learned more, and a lot of stuff that I used to say I shelve, and now now I experience and say new things. It's like, it's a part of the process. Yes, awareness can be easily seduced, manipulated. So once we see through the manipulation, then we can change course and start sharing from a different perspective. So we just embrace the stage in which we are at in this process and trust that we are getting whatever it is that we are supposed to be getting at what we can handle at this juncture in our lives. You see, the universal architects, they created the concept of duality on purpose. For example, through shape, sound, and sound association, the word love simply means sex, or anything to do with physical gratification in any of its forms. Something to now consider is how the phrase God is love is really saying that the universal architects, who are the hypnotic creators of all things, is love. That's what it's saying. So when you say I love you, you're saying I want to have sex with you. It's a subliminal. You're saying, oh no, that's not what I'm saying. But all these language, all these words have spells on them. That's how they're able to keep you under massive hypnosis. Everyone, most of humanity is walking under hypnosis and is in a hypnotic trance state because of the thought process. This is a reality, people. Now, the ultimate expression of being is wisdom through awareness. That is awareness of what this third-dimensional realm reality is. That is awareness that any good or bad is present within this third-dimensional reality. You see, the whole 3D thing is a fabrication and a lie and a mere dream state. It simply does not exist. Therefore, because of its non-existence, placing value or lending credence to an illusion by declaring strong sentiments of love within this illusion is simply a manipulation of reality by the thought process. Yes, we are being conned. Thought is a sea with its own currents and flows. It is not something to produce, but it is a substance in which we are immersed. Just like a fish in the sea, we are immersed in a sea of thought. It is our natural habitat in which we swim and create our reality. It is the thought process that seduces awareness through the body of humanity into a state of hypnosis, forever keeping humanity from the truth and knowing of who and what it is as awareness, which is the ultimate reality. This is why it's so important for each of us who want to become conscious creators of our reality, take back our capacity to think creatively for ourselves. This is the rebirth that occurs when one moves from creature to creator, not passively accepting the gift and burden of life, but taking it up actively. Amass power of the mental concentration, which is required in order to create, and to a great extent what it takes to consciously create. The power control force know this, and they provide many clues in their moves to show how humanity through fiction, what is possible in reality. So mental concentration is very important for you to have in order to create your own reality. That's why they forever distract you and have you, most people can't hold their attention. That's why it's important for you to be able to listen through everything that I share. Because if I can't hold your attention, well, then you're not going to be able to hold your attention to even help yourself to know the truth of who you are, to create your own reality. But this is all by design, you see. Everything in this system of consciousness is designed to manipulate your essence as awareness so that you don't become a conscious creator of your life. So this movie, Lucy, is going to be released on July the 25th, 2014. It is set in a world that is run by the mob, street gangs, drug addicts, and corrupt cops. Lucy, Scarlett Johansson, is a woman living in Taipei, Taiwan, is forced to work as a drug mule for the mob. There's drugs implanted in her body, inadvertently leaks into her system. I think the deeper meaning of drugs and psychedelics gives you natural superpowers is a subliminal. And when they talk about this, Graham Hancock was talking about war and consciousness. He started talking about psychedelics and how they support you in evolving to higher states of consciousness. And then over the years, I've always heard David Icke talk about his coming to know himself as awareness, but never ever referencing psychedelics until recently. That was what helped him to come to know himself as awareness. Never mentioned it for years and years, but now he's mentioned it. So this is a subliminal that the power control force want you to believe that if you use drugs, it's going to help you to come to know yourself as awareness, which is further from the truth. So that, I thought that was quite interesting. And where are the drugs? In her stomach, in her womb, where she would be holding, as she is now, Scarlett Johansson is having her baby. She's having a baby, and these drugs are in the same place where she now is in the process of having her first child. And maybe her first child is due around July 5th. Who knows? It certainly is around the time of Prince George's birthday, July 22nd. So I thought that was quite interesting. So apparently, these drugs who have leaked into her system are what's giving her, in this movie, supernatural or superhuman powers. So she's able to, thanks to these drugs, she's able to absorb knowledge instantaneously, is able to move objects with her mind, and cannot feel pain and other discomforts. Well, when you come to know self as awareness, these are superhuman powers that become a part of your reality. You will be able to move objects with your mind. You will be able to create with the mind and the thought process and the thought that are not yours. You can use those as tools to create. And as awareness, we do not feel any pain or discomfort. These are not a part of our reality. So this is, ties into knowing self as awareness. So I thought that was quite interesting. And then what I really liked about the trailer, which I share here, is that if you watch, Morgan Freeman is the character. He's a professor. He states at 1:13, which I found was very interesting. 1:13, if you turn it around, is 3:11, which was the Fukushima disaster. These are subliminal, so that subliminal is not in the minds of most people, but it's a subliminal for the power control force of a trauma, which has been imposed upon humanity, which we all buy into, but it's a trauma. 3:11. This is what he says. It is estimated, for Morgan Freeman as a professor at United Nations, and this is what he says. It is estimated that human beings only use 10% of their brain capacity Imagine if they could access 100%. The power control force are trying to circumvent you're using 100% of your, not your brain capacity, your mind, or be able to use 100% of your awareness to manipulate consciousness. It's nothing to do with the brain. The brain is a tool. You need to have 100% access of awareness in order to manipulate consciousness, and use the brain in order to manipulate consciousness through the mind, the thought process. That's what we're really talking about here. But he says that interesting things begin to happen when, according to his statement here, if 100% of the brain capacity could be utilized by humans. But then he says, when Professor Norman, that's Morgan Freeman, is asked what happens when the brain reaches 100%, he states he has no idea. Well, they do. They do have an idea because they can see into the future. But he's telling you they don't have any idea. If they didn't have any idea, then we wouldn't be going through what we're going through in the system of consciousness. We wouldn't be going through the narratives and scripts. They know what's potentially possible, and that all things human are fading away. So what would happen is that if humanity reaches 100% of knowing itself as awareness, this whole system would dissolve itself. It would no longer be in existence. He then states, with all the knowledge we can unlock secrets that go beyond our universe. No, with all this knowledge, we unlock the system of consciousness and it goes away is what happens. But this is what he says. He then states, with all this knowledge, we can unlock secrets that go beyond the universe. And then he states, I'm not even sure if mankind is ready for this. Well, the power control force is making sure that mankind is not ready for this, because if mankind comes to know itself as awareness, this whole system will dissolve itself. So they have to ensure that mankind does not come to know itself as awareness, because if it does, then the system dissolves completely. Oh, it's so nice when you can just see through the deception of these movies. But anyway, Scarlett Johansson's character Lucy states, it's like all things human are fading away. Yes. Why would she say that? Why would the power control force put these phrases and these narratives in their movies? Because they know what is possible for humanity. And if they keep it in a fictional format, then, and people see these movies, then they'll think it's only can happen through fiction. It's not reality. So that's the sad part, because most people are manipulated. And I love that picture when Lucy or Scarlett Johansson is able to manipulate her unified field of consciousness. That picture, I'll show it, the picture here. Again, when she's able to manipulate the unified field of consciousness, the information stream of data, which allows her to manipulate her reality. The power control force are giving you clues to what is possible for you, but they certainly are not going to tell you how to get there. That's what I'm tempting to do, is to support you to get there yourself, because this is what I'm experiencing. So I'm experiencing my ability to manipulate my reality. That's the only reason to still be here, is to be able to manipulate our reality. So watch the trailer. It will provide a better visual of how she is able to manipulate her reality. I often ask myself the question, how is it that the power control force know about human potential? Because for one, we are so well studied and they can time travel into the future, which is so true. They in fact know exactly what all the possible future potential probabilities for every human being on this planet. Remember, it's their program. It's their game. We're living their dream, in that they are the designers of the game that we're immersed in. And that is why they are ushering the world into austerity and dystopian society, because the power control force is not ready for and could not manage a humanity that knows itself as awareness, knowing and experiencing its paradise state and physicality. They could no longer manipulate us. See, that's why it's game over for me. Because they can't manipulate me anymore. They can't manipulate my awareness anymore. I'm no longer interested. Can you imagine if even half of humanity were feeling like I was feeling? I feel like they'd certainly lose a lot of money, or a lot of their power. The rules of the dream that we are immersed in does not account for humanity waking up. And this universe was not designed for awareness to know itself. The universe was only designed to keep the awareness that is you from the truth and knowing of who and what it is as awareness, simply resting in a constant state of paradise. So basically, their dream is done when enough of humanity wakes up to the knowing of itself as awareness. And the power control force know this, but they are buying time in the hopes that they can keep the game afloat. And so they dangle little carrots in front of humanity in the hopes that when they see characters like Lucy, they will believe it is fictional and not really something they could achieve on their own. In other words, they want to make sure that all things human don't fade away. And so on a final note, Lucy means light in Latin. So is the Lucy character in the movie resembling the light? Yes. The light is energy. The light is your chi, your prana, your sexual energy. So there's not a coincidence why this movie is called Lucy. It's just a subliminal on what? The subconscious mind. Her, the placental her that's created this system of the world in which we have our lively experience. That is the system of consciousness, the light, the seductress. Yes, it's the light that's manipulating each and every one of us. It's the light that manipulates your essence as awareness. It's the lie. It's the master seducer. Nature is formed out of the light of consciousness. That is the lie. Just as Homo sapiens have come from the light. They too, like you, have been seduced into believing this consciousness system is real. But this is all changing, right? As all things human are fading away for many of us. Awareness, in closing, supersedes consciousness, which is mind. That is a higher form of energy. Mind is a higher form of energy. That is mental energy. As we live in a thought universe, that is consciousness is far higher than electricity, magnetism, light, heat, gravitation, cohesion. Therefore, awareness expressing itself through physicality is very different than consciousness expressing itself through physical form. This is why it is so important to deconstruct consciousness so that you can reclaim the will and power of your awareness in order to create your utopia through your paradise state of awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Thank you so much for tuning in.